We're going to turn back to the breaking news about the impeachment of Donald J. Trump. Congresswoman Liz Cheney of Wyoming has announced in the last hour she's the second Republican who will vote to impeach Donald Trump. NBC's Leanne Caldwell joins us now from the Capitol. Leanne.
Hey, Nicole, she's not just the second Republican to come out in support of impeachment, but she's also the number 3 Republican in the House of Representatives. I want to read a portion of her very strong statement just for a moment. She says the President of the United States summoned this mob, assembled the mob, and lit the flames of this attack. She goes on to say everything that followed was his doing. None of this would have happened without the president. The president could have immediately and forcefully intervened to stop the violence. He did not. There has never been a greater betrayal by a president of the United States of his office and his oath to the Constitution. So that was an extremely strong statement by the number 3 member of the House Republicans. Now, we know that Cheney has had a long history with the president. She has separated herself from him multiple times, many times to the chagrin of members of her conference who got mad at Cheney and who were frustrated with her because she would speak out at different moments throughout time. But this is really a leadership moment for her. She seems to have been standing on the right side of history for every single time she did speak out against the president. And she's also separating herself from the pack of House Republicans, where the leader of the House Republicans, Kevin McCarthy, has not come out nearly as strong. Of course, in a private conference call with his members last night, he said that the president does bear some responsibility for blame, but this is a big, big moment, and what we're waiting for is the watershed to see how many House Republicans follow her. Nicole.
Liz Cheney, what I've watched over the Trump years, is she, to me, is this mirror. When she stands in front of Senator Portman or any of these members, she's a reminder of what they used to stand for. And they used to stand against everything they now debase themselves for. And I wonder what your sense is about what you just alluded to. How many will follow? How many will view Liz Cheney as someone carving out a path for Republicans to begin the long process of trying to wash the Trump stain off them?
I think it's going to be really interesting to watch to see which ones do follow her. She would stand on an island sometimes over the past couple of years, disagreeing with the president. There were a lot of Republicans who were worried and scared to follow her. And she comes from Wyoming. This is one of the most conservative states in the country, but she held true to her traditional Republican beliefs throughout this entire process. I think it's not just House members that I'm going to be watching, but what members in the Senate do as well, Senate Republicans, and if they look to Liz Cheney as an opportunity to perhaps come out and support impeachment as well. Nicole.
Leanne, is there anything destabilizing this calculation in terms of what we don't know yet, in terms of where the investigation is heading?
That's a great question. I think that there's so many questions that are unanswered. There's so much confusion on Capitol Hill right now. People are still dealing with their emotions and trying to process what happened and what everyone's dealing with personally. And then it's the blame game as far as law enforcement is concerned. Everyone's pointing fingers at each other. There's one good thing, is that there was this very dire briefing that Capitol Police are giving to lawmakers last night and into today. While members are really frustrated at what took place, and they're frustrated with the briefing that they are getting because of the threats that are presented before them, they're at least happy that finally the law enforcement, Capitol Police, are actually talking to them and filling them in on what could happen.
How much time do we have, Leanne? What time is this vote tomorrow, and how long will it stay open? How much time, how much more information could they have? How many hours are there left before they'll have to make a decision on the impeachment vote?
So they're supposed to start the process around 9 a.m. tomorrow. It hasn't been formally noticed yet, but we do expect a vote perhaps mid to late afternoon. Nothing is settled just quite yet, but perhaps another 24 hours, Nicole.
NBC's Leanne Caldwell, thank you for spending time with us today. Thank you for all of your reporting in the last week. It's been extraordinary.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.